Greetings art lovers, and welcome to our fourth and final sneak peek of Rockport Art Association Museum's 2021 annual art auction, which will take place live online Saturday, May 1st at 2 p.m. We've seen some wonderful work over the last few weeks, and I'd like to remind you that this is only a taste of what is to come in the auction. There will be almost 200 works from which you can choose. There are big names and names that deserve more recognition. There are big paintings and small, oil paintings, watercolours, gouache, mixed media, black and white, etchings, lithographs and sculpture. There is something for everyone. So today we'll be having a look at Charles Gruppi, Antonio Serino, Charles Kalin, Anthony Teamy, Harry Vincent and Charles Mavali. So, without further ado, let's take a look at lot 126. Charles Paul Gruppi, father of Emile. Canal scene, oil on canvas board 16 by 12. I think if you compare this work with Gruppi the younger, you will see Emile's work speaks more of American Impressionism than his father's, which is strongly influenced by the Hague School. This is the name we gave a group of painters who worked in that area in the late 1800s. They in turn had been influenced by the French Barbizon School. Isn't it amazing how everything in the art world seems to be interconnected? The Hague School didn't mean a building or academy. It was a term used by critics to describe artists using a new way of seeing and depicting things. The intent to convey mood, tone, takes precedence over colour. Paul Gruppi worked as an artist and art dealer while the Gruppi family lived in The Hague for 16 years at the turn of the 20th century. He might have stayed there if war hadn't broken out. As it was, Gruppi returned to the US, where he kept a home and studio in New York City and maintained a summer studio in Rockport until his death in 1940. But just look at this painting. It definitely has a European look to it, and the finish he achieves with these thick buttery strokes of paint is just amazing. Here we have Lane's Cove, a large oil on canvas 25 by 30 by Antonio Serino. His fluid painting technique shows a keen understanding of composition and skillful craftsmanship in controlling oil pigments, especially in the flickering, lively effects of light reflecting off water. A shrewd student of nature, Serino painted his entire career outdoors. His spirit was akin to the Impressionists, and he centred on a personal interpretation of his subject. Serino's sinuous painting manner demonstrates his dynamic understanding of design and craftsmanship. His day job as head of teacher training at Rhode Island School of Design, where he taught jewellery design for 35 years, stood him in good stead for his summer painting schedule in Rockport. The genre of Cape Ann offered Serino an abundance of subject matter. This, coupled with his palette of jewelled colours, made him a popular choice among art collectors. As the New York Times reported in 1949, Serino's work offered one of the more honest and sensitive examples of this marine genre. Here we have Charles Kalin, Lot 17, Harbour Scene, Rockport. Oil on canvas, board 11 by 14. Described as an artist whose love of nature amounted to a passion, Kalin was a respected member of the art colony at Rockport, Massachusetts. His potent renderings of Cape Ann scenery were championed by fellow artists such as Frank Duveneck, who recommended Kalin come to Rockport and was one of the first to recognise the high quality and innovative nature of Kalin's work. Kalin studied with John Twachtman in Cincinnati, and not surprisingly, Twachtman's emphasis on landscape themes and sketchy Munich-inspired style appealed to Kalin's own proclivity for nature and personal expression. A close-up of his work shows these wonderful broad brushstrokes done in an alla prima fashion, which, as we've said before, means all in one go. Here's lot 119, the great Anthony Teamy with, and excuse my accent, Auribeau, France. Oil on board at 20 by 24. One of my personal favourites. Teamy's work for me is always uplifting. There is a luminosity to his work in the way he uses strong contrasts of light and shade. His work is always unflinching, and his archetypal virtuoso brushwork always stands out amongst the crowd. Timmy was one of Rockport's early incomers, where he settled after marrying Lillian Beckett, to whom he was introduced at Rockport sculptor Richard Reckier's wedding. Timmy maintained a home and studio on South Street, where he taught classes and workshops for years. His use of colour relationship is beautifully stated, with his line of design carrying the eye from foreground to middle ground into the distance. This is rhythmic vitality at its best, or the music of paint. Observe his trademark use of a figure in red to create the odd note. Timmy knew that, without it, the composition just would not work. And here are two more Harry Vincent paintings. Lot 122, Shoreline Boats, oil and canvas mounted on board, 8x10. And Lot 142, Harbour Scene, oil and canvas, also 8x10. These are typical of Vincent's small alloprimer oils. These are completed in what we call a direct painting manner, putting down one correct brushstroke beside another correct brushstroke, and then leaving it alone. No taking it home and tinkering with it in the studio. Just a perfect light caught on a summer's day. Vincent's audacious, impressionistic marine and waterfront scenes are much sought after by art collectors. So don't dither about for too long and make sure you get your bid in early. Okay, and our last view for today, Charles Movarley, Lot 139, in the studio, acrylic on canvas, 36x36. So what can you say about Charles Movarley? He never shied away from the challenge of painting a large square canvas. In fact, he seemed to relish the test. It's not easy composing a square because all sides are equal. However, he always managed to come up with a fascinating composition, a design where he could lead the eye throughout. His brushwork is loose to the point of abstraction, and he appears more intent on creating a daring design through colour and form than communicating a studio still life. But his method of directing the viewer's eye throughout the painting is genius. Few painters can create a work of such vibrant colour and not become garish. Charles Movarley was a painter who saw things, familiar everyday objects, in an unfamiliar way. As he once said, for me, painting is a reaction. It's a matter of swiftly pursuing an insight to its logical conclusion. Well, sadly, we've come to the end of our final sneak peek. I hope you've enjoyed these previews into the RAA&M's upcoming auction. Remember, these are just a few of the works that will be offered for sale on Saturday, May 1st, live online at 2 o'clock. Don't miss it. And if you want to see what else is available, the full catalogue will be online shortly. Check out Rockport Art Association Museum.org/auction for more details.